my god, why this people so fucking retarded? Gay furry Jesus, oh lord, and his lover Judas by the Archast. The title itself, it's disgusting, okay, but let's see what the hell they are talking about. New animated film featuring furry Jesus and his lover Judas Iscariot. Doubles Kickstarter goal. Doubles Kickstarter goal.
And his gay lover Judas. That's one of those combinations of words that, whilst you understand technically all coexist within the English language, and could therefore be strung together in a sentence that make a modicum of sense, you never really expect to.
I bet a fucking billionaire will put tons of money in that to make it become true because, yeah, I mean, you know, you guys know that is gonna happen, right? You guys know, just wait,
Utter, or to coincide together in any way whatsoever, and yet it very much so does. So I could have lived my whole life happy without knowing anything about this, as this only happens to Christianity.
I don't know about law, but this should be prohibited.
Doesn't it? There's never any gay furry tale.
Oh, Mizuki, but you're not a libertarian and blah blah blah, and you shouldn't let everyone do that. Okay, I got that, but I mean, majority of people are Christians. Majority, like if you are talking countries like US, for example, my own country, for example, everyone like considers themselves Christian. How you're supposed to do something against the religion of the entire country, majoritarily speaking, you know?
What's about Islam? Can you imagine the potential consequences if somebody decided, I'm gonna make a furry homosexual animation about the life of Muhammad?
Yeah, just imagine, you know, it's one of the things like you just swap places and you see how different it becomes.
Yeah. I remember a joke made by a stand-up comedian on this topic once, simply saying that, okay, well, if you make fun of the Christians, what's the worst that's gonna happen? They forgive you. Meanwhile, you make fun of Islam and, the stakes heighten somewhat. Oh well, details. This, then, is an actual product that popped up on my timeline the other day, and it's one of those things you kind of have to just look at in public, preferably. It comes from a very successful Kickstarter.
Yes, Psulo, I have a lot of problems with my libertarianism conflicting with my Christianity. I have a lot of problems with that. I have many things which I'm always divaguing between one thing and another, you know. It's complicated. But whatever it is, I still think that both are still better choices than what we actually have nowadays. Than Republicans, than Democrats, than every fucking thing that we have up to now. Than communists, than shit.
The campaign, as you can see here, with
we can let these little details to fix later after implementing that, you know.
$164,000 being raised, which is amazing, particularly for a single episode. I think they mentioned 25 minutes independent animation, and there is also a trailer of it as well that is sitting on 854,000 views. So
what the fuck?
Clearly there's a massive audience out there for gay furry Jesus Christ.
Of course not, it's inflated. We know
hey.
That's not true. We know that WorkTuber pushes this, is in favor of this. I mean, come on, you guys know that, right? You guys know that. You guys know that. You know, there's a lot of people like inflating this with money through promoting the video with money, with hyping the video with money and things like that, and also all the bot industry on it, like. Yeah, that's it.
They spotted a hole in the market, a big white gaping one, and
there is literally a hole in machinery to make this works. He doesn't even actually need that. He just walks through and pushes this endlessly.
They thrust right up in there, apparently. This is being animated by a gay man, of course. Naturally,
Of
and
course,
a very progressive
expected.
gay man as well as, well, that
As
is, of course,
expected.
the progressive pride flag, complete with both the trans flag and the black and brown stripes for, what was it, BAMs? I think it was BAMs, or otherwise known as black and brown people and indigenous people and anyone and everyone else, just not the white guys. They're the evil Satan in this picture. Of course.
Whoa, I'm so surprised.
And- okay,
so
like this-
surprised.
Part of me actually looked at the trailer and thought, well, this doesn't look too bad, honestly. The animations are fairly solid, the art style is furry, but hey, you know, that's not necessarily a terrible thing in and of itself, but
No, it is. It is. What the fuck are you talking
I
about?
then also think, can a man actually worship two gods? Can a man hold two religions equally fully in his heart, as progressivism too is most assuredly so a religion? And I find it strange credulity that a man can, and as this summary post points out here, well, biblical Yahweh posting from the animator.
What the
Right there. So, in case you're somehow unaware, yaoi is the Japanese term for gay, basically.
I think everyone is pretty much aware of what yaoi means at this point.
Animated, hentai, gay. This is posted by the animator and the artist making the animation.
Oh my god. Oh my god, man. What do I where do I even start with this? You know what I have against the furry thing, by the way, is that it goes like against this is my opinion, okay? Of course, like this is my opinion on the furry, on the furry arts, you know, on this that we are watching here. But I mean, I don't have people with I don't have problem with people that are sane where I say like people that like furry stuff, but they are not fucking liberals, you know. Like for example, the first example that always come to my mind, he is Fanny Sylvie. He's the best example. Like the first example that I always think about. There are others, but you know, he's furry, but he's like. He's not retarded like all the others. So what my thing with the furries are the following: the furries, like I said, the arts and everything, is that it defies the human appearance because the human appearance it has to do with with God, with God's creation. So I don't know if there is anything on Bible that is against it. I'm not like illiterate on Bible. You guys know that. But I think that it's just by the fact that just by the fact that these attempts of creating like a something different than a human, like a humanoid animal or something, it seems like devil's work to me, you know. I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm explaining well. I don't know if I'm explaining well. So Mizuki, when are you going to start to reading a book? Well, good question. I need to start reading something really. I have many book recommendations, very good recommendations to read. But I really think that you guys wouldn't like to watch me, I don't know, reading a book. Maybe I could do like once a month it would be too little. I would need to do that once a week at least. I don't know. I'm so out of time too. But I really need to read the book. This is something that I really need to do is start to read the books. You're not wrong.
Make what assumptions you will of that, I do suppose. And he doubles down on it. Here goes Bible Yahweh Go Burr. And the Yahweh tag has been searched out there as well, as this
No, Zella, I don't have a problem with that. I'm talking about my perspective about furries. Not the furry people, like for example Eustace or Fanny. I don't have any problem with that. They are good people. I can tell that they are good people. You do not understand what I'm saying. I'm talking about my personal perspective about the furry arts, the furry videos, the furry community, not about the person, but about what it represents to me, you know? I can separate stuff. I'm not like retarded.
This is indeed Charles, who's also continued to post other, intimate moments, I guess, between Jesus, who is a bull, and Judas, who is a...
We could have a book club and you could discuss or review the club books. That's actually a good idea. I just, but if I gonna have that, I will need to find at least a day or some hours that I can dedicate to it, so we can always combine to do this stuff. That's very complicated for me because I never know when I'm free. I'm always like running to one thing to another. I'm not an organized person. I always say that like it's complicated, but I have to. It is not an excuse. I'm just telling that I will have to find a way to do that because I need to improve my. Not just my English, because I'm planning to read all these books in English, not in Portuguese, I'm planning to read all of them in English to see if I also improve my English as well while doing so, I don't know. Maybe I could do I'll think about that. I have to do that. There is already 2 things I have to do. I also need to take care of the role that you guys asked for game nights. Yeah.
Rabbit. Which is an interesting choice as well for Judas, as the entire presentation feels as if it comes across as an attempt at redemption for Judas, which, well, it's strange to do it in this way, but there you go. And I just... I don't need to expand upon.
Yeah. Like it's I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking too much. Maybe I'm thinking too much. For example, my character, like, it's still a humanoid and doesn't look like an animal, like, but it has foxy ears, it has tails, so... fuck it. I think I'm thinking too much. I'm sorry, just... There is a lot of things to consider. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I came up with this conclusion myself. I'm not actually based it on the Bible or anything, and just my own thoughts.
I really don't need to expand upon this, do I? Sometimes reality really is stranger than fiction, this being one of those particular incidents. So,
Thanks, Zuki, yeah.
This drew quite a lot of outrage initially, although quite a lot, some anyways, and it recently emerged because the short animation is getting close to being finished, with this post here being from I think about a year ago that summarizes events very well, and surprisingly in a neutral fashion too, I've gotta say, as... To be fair as well, in defense, okay, right, so this is a Kickstarter animation for an indie project, who's stopping them from doing any of this? They're free to do it, obviously. It's just...
Yeah, clearly has a huge
we
difference,
kind of
Tristan.
boomerang back to the entire idea that it's only ever one religion that gets this treatment. That it's only one religion that not only tolerates, but to a degree also encourages, profligates within its ranks to actually take their things and reduce it or twist it and turn it into something other than what it is as justification for, well, not itself, but for things that are existing in our current day. This is why I bring up the idea that a man can rarely worship two gods. And in the case of progressivism, as we have seen throughout its entire history, it is a greater good narrative that believes that it has the truth, the whole truth, and the full truth, and anyone who stands in opposition to that truth must, of course, be evil, which you would think would make it somewhat difficult for it to coexist with Christianity. But at the same time, Christianity itself has largely become subverted by this political ideology. I mean, look at the string of recent popes, the leaders of the Christian church. They're more progressive than the average guy in the street half the time, demonstrating that in this day and age, Christianity has, through its acceptance of being, I wouldn't go so far as to say ridiculed, but rather subverted, kind of eventually and inevitably ended up in a position where it is the religion of choice for the progressive, those who have a greater religion, because they can simply take its teachings and turn it to their own end. No doubt the point here will be one of forgiveness for not only misdeeds, like, selling out your friend to the government, etc., but also of their homosexual relationship. And again, in defense of the thing, there is not, as of yet, any clear indication that that will be in the animated short, mind you. There's no overly strident hint of it in the trailer, even if it has certain feels of it, shall we say. And whilst it is also definitely apparent in some of the artwork, this could also be hinting more at a reconciliation rather than a sexual thing, but we're also dealing again with a form and an organization, the group here at large, that view the literal universe in sexual terms, that view everything in sexualized terms. The entire ideology is one of sexualization. From, well, the simplicity of the entire base narrative being homosexual, and again, English is difficult. Homosexuality, which is the origins of pride, of course, although there's precious little of it that remains, all the way up to the fetishization of transgenderism, which more often than not these days is a sexual preference rather than actual identity. And then you simply toss in the black and brown stuff on top of that for, well, other reasons that
I still can't read what's written there.
And it seems therefore highly unlikely
Too small.
that art. And I mean, this one's actually quite good. I like this. I actually kind of like the choice of a bull for Jesus, honestly. Obviously, you'd think that a lamb would be the most obvious. I can't believe we're discussing furry Jesus design topics. This is... This is not a conversation I thought I'd be having. But, okay, you could have Jesus as a lamb, but it would make him feel somewhat weak, as if he was merely there to be a sacrificial entity, right? But Jesus is supposed to have some power in this.
Okay, why does this image looks demonic? Because it is. It is, totally. You see that this is totally the version. It's totally the opposite to Jesus. It's totally 10,000%. It's all intentional. So which one do you think that hates Jesus, hates God so much to that, huh?
He's supposed to have determination. He has strength in his willingness to accept his lot in life, to accept his position in God's great plan, something that a sheep might not necessarily have. Another interpretation might be a predator, like a lion, for example, or something strong. But then you also bring in the predator aspect of it, which doesn't entirely quite fit with the Jesus narrative, whereas a bull, well, first and foremost, you have here a herbivore, not a predator, and secondly, a bull is obviously a very powerful creature, very large, very intimidating, very stubborn as well. So, as far as furry designs of Jesus...
Oh my god, it is... Keep seeing this on the screen all the time. It really makes me want to punch the screen, to be honest.
Price go, I think this is a good one. But Then again, you also have the, yes, I'm making this with the intent of making yaoi out of it as well. And finally, it just, yet again, like, no other religion has to deal with this. This is obviously subversive. It is obviously intended, and I don't know if I want to go quite so far as to say a provocation, because it's one hell of a big production for merely a provocation, but I'm sure it certainly feels like that as well to quite a lot of people who look at gay, furry Jesus and his apparent love triangle with Judas. Of all people. I mean, let's not even get into that.
Yeah, you have you have other 11, but of course has to be Judas, right? Of course it has to be Judas. Why do you think that, right?
Entire idea that I'm pretty sure Jesus wasn't quite that kind of guy, shall we say. But the eventual takeaway here will be the whole, like, all love is beautiful, all love is sacred of the progressivist idea, even as they themselves actively undermine the very ideas of love and mutual mutual compassion, mutual feelings, mutual affection for one another in a natural Christian sense. As, yet again, I mean, hey, you know what? I hope I'm wrong. I really genuinely do hope I'm wrong, and that this will instead simply just be a
My feelings wanna quit this video for not wanting to see those images on screen
fairly
anymore.
wholesome interpretation of Jesus' sacrifice. Although, even then, I think they mentioned on, what is it here? Ah, yes, here we go. So, in some of them, they talk about this being a New Testament story, but then they also mention featuring details from the Apocryphy, which basically means of dubious sources, in essence. It's the part of the Bible that is considered non-canon, or even the part that aren't actually in the Bible. Things that people looked at and thought, well, this doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, does it? And was probably written in the last 50 years rather than last 2,000. Stuff like that.
Of course it is.
So, it really does feel like a classic case of taking something else and using it to push one's own narrative, but I mean, I'm trying to be kind of optimistic here, because having recently watched again The Prince of Egypt, as I went on about quite some length in a few streams a while back, I would love to see some more actually good Christian entertainment. And whilst I have my doubts as to the motif and the motives
this is not
of the people making this, I mean, I part of me needs to believe that the deconstructivist let's make Jesus a gay furry society isn't capable of doing this. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. Oh boy. It is the year of our Lord 2026, and we are getting gay, furry Jesus.
Okay, I'm done with this video. I'm done with this video. Yeah. I don't even wanna do my end video advertise for this one, to be honest. Let's go to the next one. Before we go any further, I want to take this brief moment here to thank all of you, my patrons, for the incredible support to my work here on YouTube, and especially my 5-tail fox tier member, the Holy Ball, and to all of my 3-tail fox tier members, Wallony Wolf, Fanny Sylvie, Heat Himself, Chile Not Serious, Eustace the Useful, Zealous Isaiah, Ala Rosas, Max Tenor, Nugutino, Avery, Halcyonic Eder, and TV8. Thank you very, very much. You guys are amazing. Also, thanks to everyone that have been supporting me on Ko-Fi, Kick, and to all of my YouTube members. You can support this channel life and growth with just $5 a month and gain access to many perks. This is less than a burrito. Check out my Patreon. Link is in the description below. And that's it for today, my dear Foxlings. See you guys in the next one. Bye bye.